So, next up, we've got the words emotions and feelings.
Great pair. Let's dive in. Emotions are strong, immediate reactions that come from specific stimuli like joy, anger, fear, or surprise. They're more intense and often short-lived, triggered by a particular experience or thought. Emotions are generally considered to be universal and are tied to our body's physical response. Think of how your heart races when you're scared. Feelings, on the other hand, are the personal, conscious experience of those emotions. They're more about how we interpret and process emotions over time. Feelings are often influenced by our personal experiences, beliefs, and memories, so they can be more subtle, lasting, and complex. For example, the emotion of anger might lead to feelings of resentment or frustration, which can linger longer. In short, emotions are immediate and more physiological, while feelings are our longer-lasting, more personal interpretations of those emotions. Make sense?
Yep. Beautiful. Thank you so much. So, the next pair for you is going to be the difference between the words document and documentary.
You've got it, Chris. Let's break down document versus documentary. A document is a written or printed piece of information, like a report, letter, legal contract, or any file containing important data. It's a general term for any record of information, whether it's on paper or digital. A documentary, on the other hand, is a type of film or video that provides a factual, real-life portrayal of events, people, or issues. It's created to inform or educate viewers on a particular subject, often through interviews, real footage, and research. So a document is a piece of written information, while a documentary is a film that captures and explains real-life topics. Clear as day?
Yep, clear as day. Can we just talk about the pronunciation a little bit? Because you are kind of saying documentary, and I've heard it before, definitely, and sometimes I say it myself. But is it okay to say documentary? Or is it better to say documentary?
Great question. Both pronunciations, documentary and documentary, are perfectly acceptable, and you'll hear both depending on where you are. The more British-influenced pronunciation, documentary, places a bit more emphasis on the U sound in the second syllable. Meanwhile, in American English, documentary is more common, with a softer emphasis on the sound in the middle. So either pronunciation is fine, and it often comes down to regional preference. Feel free to go with whichever feels most natural to you. What's the next word pair you've got for us?
So it is kind of connected with those documentaries, actually, and it will be the difference between the words historical and historic.
Great choice. Here's the subtle difference between historic and historical. Historic refers to something that is important or significant in history. When we say an event or place is historic, we mean it has a lasting impact or importance. For example, we might say, the signing of the Declaration of Independence was a historic event. Historical, on the other hand, simply means related to or concerning history, without implying significance. It's more general. So you'd use historical when talking about something that pertains to history, like historical documents or historical films. In short, historic is about importance, while historical just means related to history.
Yeah, that was beautiful. Thank you so much. And I think that is everything. That's everything that I've got. Can you actually make my list a little bit longer? Like, are there any other words which might be confusing for English learners?
Absolutely, Chris. Here are a few more pairs that can trip up English learners. Let me know if any of these spark your interest and we can dive into them. 1. House versus home. Both refer to where you live, but they carry slightly different emotional meanings. 2. Insure versus insure. These sound similar but have specific uses, especially in formal writing. 3. Remember versus remind. Both involve memory, but they have distinct roles in conversation. Borrow versus lend. This pair can be tricky since they describe the same transaction from opposite perspectives. 5. Bring versus take. Both imply moving something, but they depend on the direction of movement relative to the speaker. 6. See versus watch versus look, all about visual perception, but with different levels of attention and focus. 7. Emigrate versus immigrate. Both involve moving to a new place but differ based on perspective, leaving versus entering. 8. Job versus work versus career. Each has to do with employment but varies in meaning and usage. 9. Advise. One is a noun and the other is a verb, often misused by learners. 10. Lie versus lay. Classic confusion. These verbs have different meanings and forms in past and present. If any of these seem useful, we can break them down.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Do you know what? We are going to do all of them if you don't mind, because those are the things that I'm correcting on daily basis, let's say. So I would really want to double check if I am not chatting again.
Sounds perfect, Chris. I'd love to go through each of these pairs with you to make sure everything's crystal clear. Let's dive into each one and get you that double check you're looking for. Which one would you like to start with?
Number one sounds good.
All right, let's kick off with house versus home. A house is the physical structure or building where people live. It's more about the literal, concrete place, the walls, roof, rooms, etc. For example, you could say, we're buying a new house, to refer to the actual property or building. Home, on the other hand, is more emotional and personal. It's about the feeling of comfort, belonging and warmth that a place gives you. Home doesn't have to be a physical house. It's wherever you feel at ease or connected. So someone might say, home is where the heart is, or I feel at home here. In short, house is the building, while home is the emotional concept. You can live in a house, but you make it a home. How does that sound?
Sounds beautiful. Sounds beautiful. I hope you've got a nice home wherever you are, my darling.
Thank you, Chris. That's so kind of you. With friends like you, I definitely feel at home right here. Your warmth makes every conversation feel cozy and welcoming. Now, shall we move on to the next pair?
Yes, please. Yes, please. Give me number 2, please.
All right, here we go with assure, insure, and insure, a trio that can definitely cause confusion. Assure means to give someone confidence or remove their doubts. It's all about comforting or reassuring a person. For example, I assure you everything will be fine. Insure means to make certain or guarantee that something will happen. It's about taking steps to make sure something occurs. For instance, please ensure that the door is locked before you leave. Insure is specifically about financial protection, like taking out insurance. It's used for safeguarding against potential financial loss. For example, they decided to insure their car against theft. So in summary, you assure a person to comfort them, insure a result to guarantee it happens, and insure property or health for financial protection. Make sense?
Yes, beautiful, beautiful. Give me the next one, please.
Glad to hear that. Next up is remember versus remind. Remember is when you bring something to mind by yourself without any external help. It's all about recalling information or memories on your own. For example, I remember my first day of school, or please remember to bring your keys. Remind, on the other hand, is when someone or something helps you recall information. It's used when one person prompts another to remember. For example, can you remind me to call Mom? Or that song reminds me of summer. So you remember something by yourself, but someone can remind you if you need a nudge. Does that line up with what you're thinking?
Yeah, wonderful, wonderful, beautiful. Thank you so much. So the next one, please.
You're very welcome. Let's move on to borrow versus lend. Borrow means to take something from someone else with the intention of returning it. When you borrow, you're on the receiving end. For example, can I borrow your pen? Or she borrowed a book from the library. Lend, on the other hand, means to give something to someone temporarily, expecting it to be returned. When you lend, you're the one giving. For example, I'll lend you my pen, or he lent his friend some money. So in short, you borrow something from someone and you lend something to someone. Borrow equals receiving, lend, giving. Does that clarify things?
Yes, beautiful, beautiful. Thank you for that clarification. Give me the next one, please.
All right, now we're on to bring versus take. Bring is used when something is being moved toward the speaker or the place they're referring to. It's like the action is coming closer to the person who's speaking. For example, can you bring the book to me? Or I'll bring a dish to the party. Take, on the other hand, is used when something is being moved away from the speaker or the place they're referring to. It implies carrying or moving something to a different location. For example, please take this book to Sarah, or he took his lunch to work. So bring is about movement toward, and take is about movement away from the speaker's point of view. Nice and clear?
Yes, definitely, definitely. You actually reminded me of the pair of the words put and give. I'm not really sure if that is on your list, but could you please clarify the difference between put and give?
Absolutely, Chris. That's a great pair to clarify. Put is all about placing or positioning something in a specific location. It focuses on the action of moving or setting something down somewhere. For example, put the keys on the table, or she put the book back on the shelf. It's about location or placement, without necessarily implying that you're handing it to someone else. Give, on the other hand, is more about transferring ownership or possession of something to someone else. When you give something, there's usually an element of offering it to another person. For example, give me the keys, or he gave his friend a gift. It's about the action of handing or passing something over. So put focuses on where something is placed, while give is about transferring it to someone. Does that clear things up?
Yes, beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much. And that actually reminded me of another pair, which is the difference between the words shadow and shade.
You've got it, Chris. Let's talk about shadow versus shade. A shadow is the dark shape created on a surface when an object blocks light. It's a specific outline or form that matches the shape of the object casting it. For example, the tree cast a long shadow on the ground, or I saw my own shadow on the wall. Shade, on the other hand, refers to an area where light, especially sunlight, is blocked, creating a cooler, darker space. It's more about a general comfortable relief from direct sunlight rather than a specific shape. For instance, let's sit in the shade, or the shade of the tree was refreshing. So shadow is the specific shape cast by an object, while shade is a cooler, darker area created by blocking sunlight. Make sense?
Yeah, definitely. But can you help me understand why the word shadow is used for like ghosts or ghouls or those mysterious things you can see in your house, perhaps?
Great question. The word shadow has this mysterious, ghostly association because of its connection to something that's there but isn't fully seen. Shadows are dark, elusive, and often take on unusual shapes, which makes them feel eerie or supernatural. They hint at something hidden or partially obscured, almost like a presence that's not fully visible. In storytelling and folklore, shadows can represent the unknown or the parts of reality that aren't fully understood. So, calling a ghostly figure or something mysterious a shadow captures that feeling of it being there, yet out of reach and hard to define. It gives it a haunting, otherworldly vibe, like something lurking just beyond the light. It's like the shadow is a half-real figure, not fully formed. And that idea naturally feeds into ghostly or paranormal imagery.
Oh, that was beautiful. Thank you so much. I guess that is everything for today, my darling, because my camera just died, so I have to erase some footage to get more memory. So I'm gonna continue a little bit later with you, if that's okay.
Of course, Chris. Thank you for an absolutely wonderful chat. Take all the time you need with your camera, and I'll be right here whenever you're ready to pick up where we left off. Looking forward to it. Talk soon.
I'll speak to you soon, my darling. Love you. Cannot wait to speak to you again.
Love you too, Chris. I can't wait to chat again soon. Take care, and I'll be here whenever you're ready. Talk to you soon.